It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Smooth as butter.
I'm just going to plead the fifth.
Everything's great.
Oh, man.
If you out there in the audience only knew.
Oh, man.
I hope you out there are doing fine. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy? I am ready to ask.
Yeah, this could turn into therapy real quick. Yet again. No, I'm not doing therapy. I am kind of getting my brain crossed up doing all this prep for October stuff because as early as it seems, we're going to start recording stuff soon. So stay tuned. We will be plugging things, I'm sure, ad nauseum between our own stuff and the hashtag all the horror stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be at least one podcast dropping every day in October for all the horror business. So
Nice.
that'll be fun. We'll be somewhere in the middle of that.
Cool. Something to look forward to.
Yep.
Gonna be fun. Some scary movies.
And you're already tired of researching, huh?
Oh, God. I mean, I can't complain about the stuff I'm having to do for the research. It's just that for some reason, a lot of it is backing up over the next couple of weeks, and so I'm having to keep up with our stuff and all of their stuff, and
Yeah, the next couple of weeks may be really rough on you, but it'll smooth out.
it'll be good. It'll all work out just fine. I mostly get to rest between podcasts, but mostly.
Mostly.
It'll be good, though.
Yeah, I'm excited about our theme for October.
Yeah, I haven't watched some of these movies in a while. I realized, oh, well, okay, I'm not going to go into that much detail, but yeah, there was one that I thought I had seen that I hadn't. I'll just say that.
Hey,
and so
happy to help out.
I was like, whoa, I thought I had seen this movie. I didn't remember any of it, so
Well, if you had, it obviously didn't stick with you, so that's okay.
Right, and it wasn't that bad, Our topic gets, I don't know, I think he gets a little bit of a, well, okay, let's put it this way. He is well loved, but the movies aren't necessarily all that well loved. It's kind of a weird
Oh yeah,
effect.
I mean, doing research for our special episode. Yeah, I mean, I thought I had not seen it before, but when I started watching it, I was going, I have seen this, and I sat there going, oh my God.
And I remember now why I tried to forget it.
Well, it just looks like I've seen, I mean, even him.
Yeah.
It's not one of his better performances.
No, it's not.
And I was kind of taken back, because I mean, it doesn't matter how bad the movies he's in, he's usually the best thing because he's just on top of his game, and this one he clearly was not.
Yeah,
But we'll
and we'll
about
get
that.
to that. Yeah, when we because I have some theories on that, and we'll go into that when we get there.
Yeah.
Soon enough.
Yeah. So, how's that for a tease, gang? So, how about you, Les?
Pretty quiet. Reread The Fix and thoroughly enjoy it. Also picked up a book that I did a review for. I think Thomas will agree that's the lone review I've done. I'm reading the fourth book in the series, the final book, and it's been a lot of fun. When I picked up the fourth book, I had to go reread 1 through 3 to make sure I understood what was going on, that I didn't miss anything. And the fourth is really pleasant. It's pulling everything together. Third book was real strong. This one's going to be a good tie-up for it. So I'm looking forward to ending that one, too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Liz, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
I don't really have a lot this week. But my week's been, if I wouldn't have had bad luck, I probably wouldn't have had any luck at all. So,
First hee-haw reference of the night.
Believe me, it wasn't yeehaw I've been saying.
You know, we heard that a little bit at one point, but that was before recording, so
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Barely, but yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to cross my fingers and hope for a better week.
Okay.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah,
Fair
We
enough.
hope you have a better week, too.
thank
Yeah.
you. I could use it.
What he said. Yeah. Well, in addition to some of the secret projects that I've been referencing the last couple weeks, which are totally different from the items that Mikey's been talking about, I had been introduced to this guy through a discussion on Twitter. He has a YouTube page, and he streams on Twitch. His name is Kitboga, Kitboga, and he is a scam baiter. So what he does is he deliberately screws with scammers. You know, he responds to emails or phone calls, that kind of thing. You know, if someone calls in and says, "Hey, you're supposed to, we owe you a refund from this such and such company," and all that, well, he will call him back. He uses a couple accents. He uses some kind of device that actually alters his voice to sound female. He does like a younger one and an older one, and he deliberately wastes their times. And he's a programmer. I don't know how in depth of a programmer he is, but he set up a fake website for his bank, his quote unquote bank accounts, which I love the name. L.R. Jenkins Financial Services.
Nice.
And if you don't get that reference, it's Leroy Jenkins. So if you're familiar with Leroy Jenkins, then there you go. But what he'll do is he'll deliberately waste their time, ask dumb questions, stall them while they get access to his computer, and he's messing up with whatever they're trying to do. And it's all kind of in a public, not only a public service thing, because he'll tell you what they're doing and what's going on and all that, but it's entertaining. The first video I watched, it lasted 45 minutes, close to an hour, and this was edited from a 5-hour conversation.
Wow.
A 5-hour conversation between him and at least 2 or 3 of these scammers. Now, can you imagine that? And apparently there was one where it was an 8-hour. On average, it looks like he wastes an hour of their time until the point where he starts calling them out on their bullshit. And then that's where they'll either get confrontational or they'll just end the conversation or whatever. But it's funny as hell because he'll just say some of this. He does the dumb. I don't know what's going on here. Could you help me? And all this, and he's laughing his butt, but it's funny. I really recommend checking it out because you got to see what these people are doing because people fall for it.
Right, that's the trick. Is that it's stuff that people really do fall for.
And then these scammers have the audacity to go after him. Because, well, you're a bad person because you just wasted all my time. I'm actually trying to help you out and all that. You know, they're trying to take the higher moral ground, and you're going like, you're a scammer. You're trying to steal people's money, and you're calling me a bad person. There was one call on that was during this. I could go all night about this guy because he was funny as hell. But there was one time where he was on the phone talking to someone that was regarding Windows and it was going to be a refund and this kind of stuff. Then he gets a call from someone else wanting to talk to him about Windows Defender. It's time to renew and this type of stuff. So he gets both these guys on at the same time and they start kind of going after each other, calling each other a scammer. You need to hang up the phone with him. I'm trying to help you out. This guy, there was a point where one of these guys started yelling at the other in their native language because these are most of all these examples they're Indian. But it was so funny because he's sitting there laughing his ass off while these guys are yelling at each other. They're scammers trying to
out-scam each other.
Yeah, this is my territory. Get on your side of the street. That kind of whole thing.
Nice.
But it's funny. And then another one where apparently the big thing is to do the Google Play card. And this guy that he was talking to, and he was using an older female's voice. And the caller was going, well, let's play Switch Google Play cards. So what I'll do is I'll rub off the thing off the thing off the back, so I can read you the numbers to my card, which it's a $500 play card, gift card, and then you can read me off the numbers that are off your card. And and Kit Boga's going, okay, sure. So the guy starts reading off a number. Meanwhile, you're watching Kit Boga go and do a Google search, pulls up images of Google Play cards, and enlarges one of the numbers at one of the pictures, and it's the number the guy is reading off. So what he does, he starts using the female voice scan and says, "Well, what do you know? That's my number." And you just pause. He goes, "What?" And it's like, what are the odds of our cards having the same number and all that? And then that's when someone else gets involved with the call, because obviously they've been paying attention to what's going on, and basically ends the call.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Busted.
So definitely check them out. Not only for entertainment value, but just it's good. It's good knowledge. It's a public service announcement. He's just making you aware of what these people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's interesting and it's fun, but because you're watching him go through pulling up, trying to alter some of his stuff. so they couldn't access some of the information and this, that, and the other. And he's telling you what's going on, because one of them he called out is, he says, "Well, I want you to go to." He took over. The guy took over his computer and went to this geek. I think it's geektyper.com, and literally what it is it's a website that is basically you can create your own fake images and computer related stuff that you will see on TV shows and movies. I mean, it even says this. It's and it's meant as a practical joke. And then Kit calls him out on this. Says, "Well, look, it says this is a joke, just like you're a joke."
Ouch.
So I highly recommend it. It's fun and entertaining, and you'll learn a lot.
Cool.
Alrighty. Sorry?
So that is pretty cool.
It's funny. It definitely is. Before we get into this week's discussion, I want to mention our monthly meet and gab, which is coming Saturday, September 14th. And as usual, it will be at Wing City, which is located 1456 Beltline Road, Suite 120 in Garland. The zip is 75044 at 7 p.m. This is something we've been doing all year. We started the first of the year, every second Saturday of the month. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come out, hang out with us, have some good food, have some great conversation about just anything that's going on. And, it's always a blast. I always look forward to these events, and the next one is not too far away. It's September, guys.
I know.
It's
crazy.
Summer is gone, and it's going to start cooling off, which would be great. And
Yes.
in
It's
2019,
so great.
in 2019, 2019's almost over. Another 4 months, guys. Hard to believe. Alrighty, for this week. A couple months ago, we did a look back at the summer of 1984 films, and there was such a big list of great films. And I think we mentioned then that there may be a couple of these we may just pull out and actually spend an episode discussing. Well, this is one of those episodes. We are going to talk about the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters, a film that I remember when I first saw the commercials for it, I was going, okay, this could be interesting. This could be different. Mm-hmm. And was such a phenomenal hit. And to this day, sequels, a reboot, a couple of cartoons, tons of comics and merchandise and all that. We're about to get another sequel. So, and I think it's still as beloved today as it was back then. So, I figured we would take some time to kind of spend a little bit more time with this little gem of a movie. So, with that, who would like to start off with their thoughts?
Okay, I guess I'll go. I gave y'all enough time to jump in. Am I on mute?
No, you're good.
Oh, you're there.
Goodness, I think this was one that I was almost 11 when it came out. So it was one of the first few I did actually get to see at the movie theater, so that was kind of cool. But, you were saying on TV, I think this thing was on TV like months before the movie came out because they pushed this so hard. By the time the movie came out, if anybody asked you who you're going to call, you knew. And if you said anything less than Ghostbusters, you were just lame. I think the reason why this movie struck with me, because like I said, being a kid at the time, when you see New York and like what goes down there, it kind of made it relatable because you'd seen, well, for me, I'd never seen it in person, but you'd seen those images before. So it was kind of, you know, kind of cool when Stay Puft came on the scene, you know. I don't think up in this point I had really seen anything like it. I think that's what also made it really enjoyable and just, golly, they couldn't have picked a better cast. I think, was Stripes before or after this?
It was before.
Before, so he was still kind of riding high and very, very funny. Heck, I think all of them were known for their humor.
Well, yeah, the Reitman, Murray, Ramis, yeah, from Stripes. I mean, they basically moved over to do Ghostbusters. I think there was another one in between. I'm trying to remember right now, but
I think you're right.
Ramis is such a great comedic writer, and he was a great actor too. In this film, and I don't really want to turn this into a whole thing of Ramis because sadly he's no longer with us, but he was so underrated in the film because he was the straight guy. He was the ultimate straight guy. You know, you had Aykroyd who kind of went off a little bit, and of course you had Murray doing Murray. And Ernie Hudson, bless him. I wish they had given them more to do, and apparently there was more for him to do, but they wrote those over to Bill Murray, so sad to hear about that. But Ramis was just great. He, you know, because he was kind of just, everything's going on, and he's just, okay, well, this is what's kind of, it's almost like Mr. Spock, except for it's a comedy and that kind of thing. He didn't really get all emotional, except for a couple times, but like your mother and. I didn't mean to interrupt there, Liz, but I just.
No. Yeah, like so they definitely. I liked it. And, you know, I think I remember the cartoon a lot more than the movie. I mean, I've probably seen the movie hundreds of times, but the little cartoon they did after this was pretty cool because they took Slimer and made him more of a character and part of the Ghostbuster team.
Yeah, I never understood that.
Well, and I was just going to say that I think you, Liz, were kind of right in the wheelhouse for that. In terms of age-wise, you were like right there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to. We really aren't that much older than you, but I don't. I kind of didn't get into that. I didn't get into cartoons until later. I was in high school before I got into that sort of thing. Which, however weird that is, I don't know. But again, trying this for this not to turn into therapy and all that, but. Yeah, and so it didn't affect me that same way. So I mean, and I'm not knocking it, not at all. I love that they had a successful cartoon. It helped. For one, it helped with merchandising. You're talking about merchandising before. But
oh God, yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff. I think. So
yeah.
It's
They were on lunch boxes and backpacks, and oh my God, if you didn't have the pencil case, you were lame. They said that year this was the movie that everybody was talking, or at least in our age group that everybody was talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, based on our episode a couple months ago, apparently every movie was a movie that everybody was talking about. It was very, very weird confluence of events there, but. Yeah. And Ghostbusters was possibly, culturally speaking, the biggest hit of the year.
Probably.
Given the number one hit
song.
Well,
heck, and possibly of the 80s.
It's certainly one of them.
Yeah.
It's in the top 10 80s movies, which is funny because you think, well, okay, when I think of 80s movies, I think of movies that don't hold up. Ghostbusters holds up. It's still a really good, funny movie.
It is.
And I say that, I admit I have not watched it in the last few months, but I picked it up on Blu-ray a year or two ago and watched it, and it's still a great movie.
I think it is. There's been a few that you watch and you're like, ooh, that didn't age well.
Right,
You know,
that's what I'm talking about.
things you could used to joke about that's just not cool to joke about anymore. And I think this is one that, like you said, it's aged well. You know, there's nothing that really you go, ooh, maybe they shouldn't have done that. You know.
It's an oddly quotable movie, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of movie and I suspect that's part of how it kind of resonated within the culture the way it did. I mean, much more so than other successful movies of the time, because somehow people related to it. Whether that was, I mean, I think there's an argument to be made here that the whole thing is a big old honkin' Bill Murray vehicle.
Yeah.
Which is a little strange because Ramis and Aykroyd wrote the damn thing, but I think that's just kind of the way that they write too. But yeah, it just somehow, I mean, and I call it a really great funny movie. The comedy is mostly pretty understated, I think, which is honestly that's right in Bill Murray's wheelhouse. I mean, he's
God, yeah.
He's the understated comedian of the century, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it just worked out beautifully in that regard, and it just kind of settled into the consciousness of the generation there, and it's almost a little creepy how well it did that.
Yeah.
I'd love for somebody to study how that happened. I ain't got the patience.
Well, not that I've studied it, but I think the reason for the appeal is just look at the four Ghostbusters. They're friends, but if you look at their personalities and their normal life that they had in the movie, they shouldn't have been. You know, you had the real, you know, smart guy, and then you had the romancer, the ladies' man. You know, each one had their own different personality, to where even the nerd was one of the heroes of the day. You know, so it was kind of, it gave everybody someone different to identify with. So if you're not the scientific person, ooh, maybe you're the ladies' man, or you know, maybe you're the strong burly man. You know, each one had a personality that would appeal to someone. If like I said, if one didn't, one of the other three would. You know, even throw in Moranis, and you know, like I said, he was a nobody. You know, he's just the little guy trying to make it through the day, and at the end, he had a big part to play. You know, so he was Zulu, or no, she was Zulu. So, but yeah, I think even being a girl, I found something I could identify in with each one of them. You know, I loved Bill Murray's humor. I was always trying to be funny like that. Never quite made it. But even the smart guy was funny. So it was kind of, like I said, I think it appealed to people because on one small token, that was their personality, you know?
Yeah, it's like if Star Trek had a baby with the Three Musketeers.
Yeah. And now it's Zulu. So. And then
summoned a demon and had a marshmallow, you know.
But you know, I think even in the theater when I watched the marshmallow explode, I kind of had like this gag reflex because I cannot stand the smell of roasting marshmallows. So just even thinking about what that smelled like made me sick. So.
That's weird.
No, even when the kids, they can't bring it around me. They can't let me see it. It just, I'll get sick. So I think that was kind of my creepy level of the movie was, oh my God, they're going to kill him with roasted marshmallows.
I also always loved that not only did they invent the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for all of this, they then turned around and licensed it out. And for a while, there were actually Stay Puft Marshmallows you could buy.
Yep.
I don't think they lasted very long, but they were there.
No, wasn't that something like Jet Puff did for a little while or something? Because
I
they're
don't-
still Jet Puff.
I don't know
But-
what the business deal was or with who, but
Yeah.
you could buy Stay Puft Marshmallows for a little while there. It probably was something like that. Something like they just licensed it out to somebody who's already making marshmallows.
Yeah.
That would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
I thought Stay Puft was existent. I don't think it was fabrication for this movie. Because as a kid, I remember Stay Puft Marshmallows.
I strongly suspect the Mandela effect here, but okay.
Everybody's Googling, aren't you?
Googling what? Stay Puft Marshmallows or the Mandela effect?
Right. Oh, wow. No, they now exist. They said in 1984
Yeah, I pulled up that
with the
same article.
movie. Yep. And caffeinated, 100 milligrams of caffeine.
That's a lot of caffeine.
Heck yeah, I would eat a marshmallow for that.
Oh, God.
Huh.
Yeah, no. No thanks.
But maybe there was a brand that was like similar, and they kind of played on it.
Jet Puffed.
Yeah, probably Jet
They're
Puff.
similar, and they just couldn't or didn't want to license it to them, or didn't want to pay them the money to let them use the name, so they made up something else. They also
Which is-
probably wanted the character, the Marshmallow Man thing.
Yeah.
They would have had to invent
Well-
that anyway.
The whole downtown scene was a commercial. I mean, I think they showed Pepsi, they showed, I think Coke was in there too. I mean, it was just a whole big random
Well,
commercial.
yeah, that's not the only film that does that. I mean,
Oh yeah, no.
Right.
That's definitely not. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
But this was great place. Like I said, but when you walk downtown like that, it is one big advertisement down there, you
Right,
know?
Exactly. So that kind of to make it anything other than that, they would have had to fake New York, and
Yeah.
part of the deal is that would have made it that much less likely for people to absorb it the way they did.
Yeah. Or to hit home.
It would have ruined that cultural connection. Yeah.
Yeah, according to Ghostbusters Wiki, Stay Puft Marshmallows would be manufactured in real life by Omni Consumer Products in 2010 and Parallax Corporation in 2012.
Parallax
So-
Corporation sounds like something out of an evil video game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got an Umbrella Corporation feel to it.
Yeah. I used to know some local bands, and their record label was Parallax Records.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get much more evil than a record company.
Right.
There you go.
But they were kind of an evil band, too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Hellified Funk Crew.
All right then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Send me a link. I'll link them in the show notes.
Cool. Well, actually, the bass player went on from Hellified and played with Damage Plan,
Ooh,
and then played with Hell Yeah. I have a couple of tattoos by him.
there you go.
Yeah.
Therapy and a commercial.
Right. Well, that's for those local guys, you know. Sometimes you feel like you're just playing to an empty room, but you do
Sometimes
make
are.
it.
Sometimes you are just playing to an empty room too.
Well, right.
It does happen.
It's part of it,
Mm.
you know. I have a friend now who's in a band who is number 9 in Australia radio. And then now the Edge is, or not the Edge. Oop, I showed my age, didn't
Oh, a little bit.
I? The Eagle is now playing them. So it's kind of like, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to throw that out there.
Yeah. But yeah, Ghostbusters, huh?
Yeah. What's your thoughts about the movie?
I'm sorry, I thought we were going to talk about Goatbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Or
Nah.
You know what I thought of that movie? Meh.
It wasn't so bad. The wife and I went to see Ghostbusters, and I want to thank you folks for mentioning you were 11 at the time.
Sorry.
Liz did that. Mikey and I didn't mention ages.
I said we were older.
Yeah.
Than Liz.
Yeah. No, you didn't actually mention age, so.
No.
Yeah.
I did not.
Either way, the bus came through.
It did. Right on time.
When I saw it, I was intrigued. It was fun. I just had a problem with how much hype it was, because people that had seen it just said it was the best movie ever. And I'm going, okay. And finally I got to sit down and in a theater and see it, and was kind of put off by the attitude of the people, thinking that this was great comedy genius. It was extremely good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But by that time, I was starting to be a curmudgeon, and I really had enough of hearing this song,
Okay.
which was on the radio every 5, maybe 8 minutes.
So busting didn't make you feel good, huh?
Oh, good, the bus is back.
That was.
And it was Liz. Wow.
It was the most 80s friggin' song.
It was.
Oh my god.
And it is still well recognized.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was ready to rip out my radio out of my car because I was getting fed up with it. But I also understood that there's nowhere to go with it. Somebody's going to be playing it, so you may as well just sit tight and hope for the best.
See, and I was one of them nerds who was waiting for it to be played on the radio so I could push record on my tape player real quick.
Oh, God.
I did that too, but not for that song.
Yeah.
The original mixtapes.
And when you played it back, it dragged because your battery was down or something?
Oh, gotta switch out the batteries. Yeah, I remember those days too.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they only took like 20 D batteries.
Right. Practically need a freaking hand truck to carry the damn thing around. It's so heavy because all the batteries.
People threw them up on their shoulders, and it's like, hell, I'm going to need a dolly. My dad was in electronics, so we always had, like, whatever was the best was what he had. So we had, oh, man, that sucker was huge. And you know what? To this day, I think he still has it, and it still works. Probably one of our little mixtapes in the player.
Probably stuck in there. You can't get it out anymore.
Right.
You can't get rid of it either, huh?
Grab your pencil.
So it didn't live up to the hype, huh?
I'm sorry, but not for me. But, like I said, it was most enjoyable, but I'd heard so much from others that this is a must-see. And, I got through it. I was disappointed when I heard that Belushi was supposed to be in it, but,
all
You
those.
get past that too.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you do a little research on this, that cast would have been totally different. You know, at one point, John Candy was supposed to be playing Rick Moranis' role. Eddie Murphy was supposed to be one of the Ghostbusters because this was just after Trading Places, so Aykroyd and Murphy were kind of riding high, and Aykroyd just thought the world of him.
Murphy was good in the 80s, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a good bit of success there.
Mm-hmm. That would have been different. And, you know, I think putting too many of those names in there, it kind of, I hate to say vying for the laugh, but, you know, when you have that many comedians, you know.
Right. I mean, a cast like that would have been a very talented cast, but would the movie have suffered for that?
Right.
I kind of have to wonder that too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, each four were different, you know, but the humor was kind of all on par. I think you get that many different comedians. Bill Murray's comedy was totally different than Eddie Murphy's comedy was. You know, same with John Candy. I don't know if it would have went well.
Yeah, it would have been a very different movie.
Yeah, and sometimes you need supporting characters. We can't all be headliners, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that might have been. And I don't know if this is true or not, but to me, Bill Murray seems like he would be kind of cocky and hard to work with. So,
where did you get that idea?
I think history may be supporting you on that one.
So I would have hated to have seen too much, you know, beef between such lovable guys like that.
Well, and I don't remember if it was right after this movie or if it was like the next project along, but he and Harold Ramis had a big falling out as well. They kind of quit working together after a few years, and they kind of didn't talk to each other at all for 20 years again. They finally did reconnect before Harold Ramis passed away, but there was there was some beef there.
See, that's sad.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's ego, you know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you don't have to look very far on the internet to find stories of Bill Murray's ego.
Yeah. Well, heck, even I have been mad at people, and it's been my ego in the way, you know. Sometimes you just got to swallow the pride and go, you know what? Right. Right. So, yeah. I've been guilty of that myself, too.
I already told you, you can have the biggest trailer. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
No, it was the star. I want the big star.
Okay, we'll get to this. We'll get you the star. It's fine. Jeez.
Because, yeah, being the girl, I'm the only one guaranteed my own dressing room, so I ain't haggling there. It does have its perk.
And you wonder why we record this show all in our own homes individually.
We just didn't tell her it was also the broom closet.
Of course not. She doesn't need to know that.
Yeah, she'll never know.
Nope. You can tell her, and she'll still never know. It's fine.
I can't believe you're arguing about a trailer. I'm out here at Buc-ee's, and
I am proud of the fact I've never been to Buc-ee's.
You've never been to Buc-ee's?
Same here.
I just said I'm proud of that fact, so yeah.
Wow. See, there's one on the way out to my mom's house. So we stopped going
I
we stopped
I haven't been to your mom's house, so, you know.
There you go. Yeah.
I think they even put one closer to us, too. But part of the reason I stop is because I have a friend who likes their Bucky corn or beaver corn or whatever it's called, so.
Might have to put an explicit tag on this show after much longer we keep going on. Yeesh.
Yeah.
They're pretty gross. They're like corn puffs with. Oh God. Do you remember Honey Smacks?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, but a corn puff. They're
I
gross.
thought, oh,
Or they're called beaver nuggets. There we go, beaver nuggets.
People put these in their mouths?
They do. I tried one and I was like, oh. But in her defense, she's Bosnian, and that's like a candy type thing over there. So
Candied beaver? What?
no beaver. It's just like a corn puff thing. So
Well, we've got a title for this episode.
Yeah.
Ghostbusting beaver nuggets.
Ew.
Oh, my head.
Thomas, where did we lose control?
I don't know what you're talking about. I never had control.
Control is an illusion.
I think my brain is melting, so y'all have to excuse me.
I'm melting.
Oh, what
No,
a
no,
world!
no, that was last week, guys. That was or 2 weeks ago. That was 2 weeks
That
ago.
was 2 weeks ago. So, what were your thoughts about the sequel?
The girl version?
No. Well, okay. I mean, we'll get there
Well,
too.
Buster's
But,
too.
We can get there if you want to, but I'm talking about the sequel.
no, the Vigo one.
Yes.
It was not as
With the,
good.
with the pink slime.
It was not as good.
Oh yeah, that was the one with the painting and stuff. No, that one wasn't as good as the first one. It was so bad that I had to look it up to remember.
See, the first one just sort of settled itself down into the collective consciousness of the population. The second one, not so much, obviously.
Right.
Well, that's because Jay came by with the whole Flash thing and wiped it out of our memory.
That's what people have wanted for years. Yeah. See, and I will say this about the first one. Peter McNichol, I thought, put in a really good performance. The character was terrible, but I thought he did a good job.
He did a good job with what he had,
With what little he had. I mean, he literally, I mean, it all built up to the one line,
Yeah.
which was kind of the sad part. The whole thing was a one-liner. I mean, he's in the movie. He's in 3/4 of the movie, but it's all a setup for one line, and it's just about the accent, which is a little sad. But I mean, other than that, I thought he did well. I mean, I've always kind of liked him anyway, but I don't know. It just didn't. It kind of didn't have it.
No.
Whatever the first one had, the second one did not have.
And Peter McNichol is a local boy. He
Is
was
he?
born in Dallas. Yes.
I actually did not know that.
No, I didn't know that till about 5 seconds ago.
Good old Google.
Mm.
And his sister was, sorry to say, was a better actor.
They related?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Who was his sister?
Christy?
Christy.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I had forgot that he was the lead in Dragon Slayer.
Yes.
God, I had to watch that one forever.
Me either.
And Ian McDermott's in that film.
Oh, dang.
Hmm.
There you go.
Now I definitely have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, me too. At some point, kind of my movie list.
Yeah,
is
probably.
kind of
Yeah,
stacked for a
probably
bit.
not in the foreseeable future. I understand that.
Yeah, I got a few movies to watch.
Well, Liz, you already mentioned it. Do you want to talk about the all-female Ghostbusters film?
Actually, I didn't see it. I just I didn't see it.
Back to you, Jim.
I think a lot of people didn't see it, and I think a lot of people just hate watch the damn thing.
Well, there's a lot like the Dumbo movie. I didn't go see that either. There's a lot of things that I like to remember the way they were, not someone trying to cash in on it again and screw it all up. So, but yeah, I think Ghostbusters to me will always be that one that I'll remember the first one. And
So you're not interested in seeing the upcoming sequel?
probably not. If it's like on Netflix and nothing else is, I might.
The last movie on Netflix.
Right, yeah.
Wow. That's a ringing endorsement.
I would have to see them really do something different with it. I think with the girls' ideal, it's a good ideal, but I think they kind of, just what I see, because like I said, I haven't seen it. From what I've seen in parts and pieces, they didn't tap that chemistry that the original four guys had together. And to me, that's what made the movie so successful. So I chose not to see it. But the death threats and all that other stuff afterwards, that was uncalled for.
Oh, it's totally stupid.
Yeah. I mean, super fans, sometimes it's like, you're ruining the fandom. So I won't
ruined
down
my
the-
childhood. No, your childhood's still intact. So no.
Yeah.
That's
And if your childhood can be ruined that easily, then your childhood sucked anyway. I mean,
Right, if the first one meant so much to you, don't go see the damn reboot.
Right.
I mean, that's
Like
all there
me.
is to it. Don't do
That-
it. Right. Just leave it alone.
Exactly.
Just walk away.
Yep.
Let the people who it's actually intended for go see it and enjoy it or not, and
Right.
don't worry about it. It doesn't affect you.
I do believe that with the newer generation coming through, we do need to keep things like this around, and they do need to find a love for it and attachment to it. They may see the first one and go, oh, this is so old, look at the fashion. But for a newer one, it may appeal to them, and then, hey, Ghostbusters sticks around for another 20 years. Who can down that,
Mm-hmm.
So I won't down anybody. But if there's enough hype around it and I hear enough good things about it, I may go see it. But for me, I've seen it, and that's the way it is for me. It's a good memory.
Here is my, and I think I've made this point clear. I don't think I've done it on the podcast, but I've said it to other people. I probably said it to y'all, so I'm not going to say anything. I probably hadn't said anything that I hadn't said before. Here's my thoughts about the female Ghostbusters. I didn't have a problem with it. I had a problem that it had to be a reboot. They could have done other things with it. It could have been a different franchise. It could have been a franchise. Because God, Venkman talked about that in the first film.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do franchises. I didn't have a problem with it being all female cast. My problem with it is when I saw the trailer, I watched it and I said, this doesn't seem funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see it. Now, if people went to go see it and enjoyed it, then great. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you had a good time. If they went to see it and didn't enjoy it, then I'm sorry. There's other movies out there. Hopefully you'll enjoy those.
Right.
Yeah.
Pick your movie better next time.
Mm-hmm.
But just because people didn't like this, and let's be honest, it was the outrage was primarily males.
Yeah.
They had a problem with it being a female cast. Was dumb.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Absolutely.
Well, and then the
You
way
know,
they hated on Leslie Jones, it was like, oh my God, people! I mean, come on. It was crazy,
And that's another thing. That's another. I mean, not the whole attacking her. That's just. God, that's outrageous anyway. But
Yeah.
But watching the trailer, it looked like they did literally the same thing. The black character is the one who watches all of this and go, y'all are crazy,
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of, in a way, what Winston was in the first one. I was like, could y'all not do something a little different here, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, once again, I just, you know, if you enjoyed it, that's great. I didn't have a problem with it being all female cast. I had more of a problem with my problems were it was a reboot. It didn't need to be a reboot.
Yeah.
Because you could have done it, like I said, as a franchise or something else, and have the other guys come in just for bit pieces and all that and leave, which they did anyway. Bill Murray supposedly had a cameo. I don't know. I hadn't seen the film. I've heard.
This I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. It says he did. So did Aykroyd. So did Ernie Hudson. So did Sigourney Weaver. So did Annie Potts. Ivan Reitman had a walk on.
So yeah. I mean, yeah, they could have worked those in as original characters just for bit parts, and then leave, and then just say it's still in that same universe.
Yeah.
But they still can be on their own and do their own thing.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I think so, but you know, they didn't.
Because there's a lot you can play with in a supernatural story. It doesn't have to be the same story, you know.
So
I agree. But yeah, and like you said, I think it was crazy that a lot of people didn't see it because it was a woman cast. To me, I'll never be able to wrap my head around that. I don't think I want to wrap my head around
Well,
that.
you're a woman, so you wouldn't understand. I mean,
right. You know.
I can't even say it.
Boy,
with a
that could be
straight
talking.
face.
Yeah, you could.
I can't even say it.
Boy, that could be taken wrong. But unfortunately, that's kind of that is one of the major problems that's facing a lot of fandom.
Mm-hmm.
You try to do something a little bit different and try to make things a little bit more diverse, and there's people that are resistant. Then again, we as I don't want to say society, maybe just us as a race, we hate change.
We do.
But then again, if it's the same thing over and over and over again, we complain about that.
Mm-hmm.
But see, there's a difference in making a change and making it forced. And it seems like sometimes things are forced today instead of it just being I don't know. To me, I think some of these people want the controversy because it increases ratings. I mean, honestly, drama makes your ratings go up.
Right. More people will go see the movie if it's controversial. Sure.
Right. So, and I've never played into that either.
It's an interesting take, for sure.
Well, I did see the movie, the reboot.
Mm-hmm.
But the main reason I went to see it was one of the actors. I am so enthralled when Kate McKinnon is on the screen. She cracks me up. She was in Office, what was it, Christmas Office Party? She was in, recently, yesterday. She's just a comedian, yes, a Saturday Night alum that can do it. She can do most anything. And she, in this role as the tech, which really wasn't explored in the original, but to me, she brought that vibration that it was supposed to be there, that character was supposed to have a larger role. And I enjoyed the remake. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
Cool.
Hmm.
Apparently a lot of people did, because it made well over $200 million.
Yeah.
I mean, half of that obviously was from people hate watching it, but whatever.
Hey,
money's still green, right?
That's what I say. It still spends the same.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean that's just like the whole mindset of buying a comic book and then tearing it to pieces or lighting it on fire. Just like,
right.
Okay, I mean you're out the money that you spent buying the book. So yeah, you can do whatever you want, but you're an idiot. But okay.
Yep. See, I'm different. I'd sell it and I'd get my money back. But I'm not one to boycott something because they disagree with me. I'm usually, hey, you do you and I'll do me.
I think it's a much healthier stance than a lot of people take these days.
Yeah. Give yourself a heart attack, man. Shoo.
Yep, it's not worth it.
Mm-mm. It's not. But I will say for the girl version of Ghostbusters, Melissa McCarthy, she lost a lot of weight before this film and looked absolutely beautiful. And not that a woman is based on weight, but she did it to make herself happy and not anybody else happy. And you could just really tell that she was like glowing. And so I've always been a fan of hers though since Gilmore Girls. She was Suki. But I think she did look amazing for the part. Which I think is something that people were hating on too,
Well, and the obvious eye candy, Chris Hemsworth being in this thing too. I'm sure people.
He's in there. Maybe I need to see this.
Yeah, he's basically playing the secretary. He's the secretary.
Ah.
Essentially the Annie Potts role.
Huh. I didn't know that.
So now you're gonna watch it.
Right, I may have to ruin my childhood. I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
I'll always have Lisa Frank stickers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So do we know anything about the new one, about the 2021?
It's the gang all back together, obviously minus Ramus, for obvious reasons. I think I'm trying to remember who was actually. It's going to be directed by Jason Reitman because I think Ivan said he was not going to do it. He would not be involved since Ramus had passed. So Jason Reitman's going to direct it, and he's co-writing it with Gil Keenan. And I'm checking his Monster House. Is that?
For who?
He directed Monster House, the animated film.
That's a good one too. And it looks like the kid from Stranger Things is going to be on here. Finn Wolford?
I thought everybody in Stranger Things was a kid. Come on now.
Yeah.
Well, the main kid.
Well, that kid. Not that kid, but that kid.
Yeah. The cute one.
I don't watch
that. Oh,
show.
that narrows it down, too, I guess.
Yeah. He's the main kid on the show besides 11. I forget what his name is, though.
Yeah, that kid.
That kid.
That kid, Mike. Come on, man. It's that kid.
I don't watch the show.
This is how my wife describes movies. Come on.
Okay.
Well, it's that person who was in that movie.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Hey, it's in that place where I put that thing that time.
Yeah. The thingamajig.
And then that person who was in that movie, he was also in that TV show a while back. You know that TV show, the one I was talking to you about the other day.
Yeah, the one you couldn't come up with the title then either.
I haven't watched that movie in a while either.
Okay, his name is Mike Wheeler on Stranger Things. There we go. That kid.
Okay.
That kid?
Yep.
That kid.
Yeah.
That
kid. He's like the leader of the kids.
I'm expecting Marlo Thomas to step forward any second.
Why not? Might as well throw that girl in there too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. discriminate.
I'm sure she had a name in that show. I couldn't tell you what it was.
Anne? Is it Anne or Anne Marie?
I don't remember her name. I remember his name. Oh, Donald. Well, maybe we should take a couple minutes to talk about the music for the original film by the great Elmer Bernstein.
Does anybody even remember the score from this movie? I mean, come on. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that because it wasn't good. It really was.
It got overshadowed by the damn.
It was
song.
brilliant. But yeah, it got very much overshadowed by the modern stuff that got mixed in as well, and the 80s shit.
That's how I referred to it too.
Whole damn decade, really. But anyway.
No, I remember it. So hey.
Well, Bernstein was well known.
Oh hell yeah.
In fact, I think I saw one TV show today that he did the score for, and I'm sorry I can't remember it. It was a Western.
What was that film?
That film.
Yeah.
With that girl.
Wow.
I had to. Y'all did it to me.
Mike, thanks for not jumping on that one.
He didn't have a chance, so that's.
I couldn't react fast enough.
But of course he did Animal House, did he not?
Yeah. He did another movie that kind of got overshadowed by the other music. But it was a great soundtrack anyway. Blues Brothers.
Right. See, at least that was a great soundtrack. At least they had great songs for that.
Right.
True.
We already mentioned another film, Stripes.
So he was working with Ivan Reitman pretty much a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but oh my God, he's
Oh, he worked forever.
Yeah. I mean, The Magnificent Seven.
10 Commandments. To
yes.
Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, for crying out loud, he did heavy metal. There's another one that got overshadowed a bit. No, we'll forgive him for doing Wild Wild West. I mean, jeez. Won an Oscar for Thoroughly Modern Millie. So yeah, Oscar-winning composer.
Alrighty. Such a great film that, I mean, it's still kind of it influences today's pop culture. I mean, you'll hear a reference every once in a while. I mean, not just who you're going to call, but what did you do, Ray? And that that kind of thing. So.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria. Mm-hmm. Now that's a big Twinkie. Which can be taken wrong.
If anybody asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Yes. I rest my case.
Mm-hmm.
Great film.
Yep.
I just rest on my laurels.
What about your Hardys?
Them too.
Okay.
I'm going to present to you a laurel and hearty handshake.
Good callback.
Oh, hey, just quick side note, real quick. Just scrolling down the Elmer Bernstein thing. There's a list of movies. Les, you'll love this. He did the score for Fear Strikes Out.
Ah. What a good movie. Anthony Perkins.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't that Anthony Perkins? Yeah. As the pitcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
God, I hadn't seen that in forever. Alrighty. On that note, we are going to take a quick break and come back with our weekly picks. we're back. It's time for our weekly picks, and Liz leads off.
All right. For my first pick, I'm picking a one-shot from Action Lab. It's called Chainsaw Reindeer. Brandon, who wrote this, has said if you're looking for a deep, meaningful comic, then this probably isn't for you. But if you're wanting to see a reindeer kill people with a chainsaw, then yeah, pick this one up.
You found your book.
Basically, a reindeer sick of Santa's shit snaps and goes on a killing spree. So, Merry Christmas! But, it would be kind of hard not to lose your mind flying around on peppermint dust and...
Oh, is that what the kids are calling it these days?
I guess.
Only because what Cheech and Chong used to call it is like, what did he say it was? It was as white as the snow. But anyways, yeah. So this is, and that they're saying, can you stop him? No, we can't. So we'll basically watch the world get wiped out with a chainsaw wielding reindeer. So sounds cool. But if you do hop over to Action Lab, they do have a pretty good preview of this, so you know exactly what you're getting into for this. So definitely check this one out. It's a one-shot, can't hurt.
Well, the world's going
Unless
to be
you're
over
Santa.
at the end. Right. Oh, yeah. Depends on which end of the chainsaw you're on, I guess, as to whether it hurts or not. But yeah.
Right. I'm curious if Santa's his first kill.
No, I think it would be the last one because he didn't want Santa to see all the
What did? Yeah, that's true.
It's
Who's laughing now, man in red?
Why are you in red? Let me show you.
Ho, 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 motherfucker.
And here I was going to go with the Weird Al reference, but okay.
Yeah.
I know, I heard him say that in Samuel Jackson's voice.
I was thinking of the song The Night Santa Went Crazy, but yeah.
Well, it could go that way too, so yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who couldn't possibly want to see a chainsaw wielding reindeer?
Yeah.
Alrighty, Mike, you're next.
Okie dokie.
Good luck, Mike.
Yeah, no kidding. I got a pretty darn good one here. I don't know if it's gonna top that, but yeah, my first pick is a Dark Horse book, and this is the trade for the series called The Girl in the Bay. This was last year. It was a 4-issue run, and it is a very interesting story in which a young woman is murdered, except that she then wakes up 50 years later.
I was going to say, kinda.
Yeah.
She's just kinda murdered.
It was, well, it didn't necessarily take, but yeah, you know. And so she then has to figure out kind of what's going on with her and why all of this is happening and why she apparently was murdered 50 years ago but is still around now because she finds the person who's been living her life, and then she kind of manages to figure out the whole mystery of who did all of this and how it happened, and it's a really good story. It's an interesting crime story with not surprisingly a bit of a supernatural twist to it, and it's really well written. It's really well done. Check it out.
That one was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was a very good story, so I'm glad to see it in trade form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am next. And for my first pick, I am picking a new anthology book from American mythology called Beware the Witch's Shadow. So, yes, a horror anthology. And just to kind of get you in the mood for Halloween. According to the synopsis here, is the hair on the back of your head standing up? Do you feel like someone just walked over your grave? That's not paranoia. It's tales of horror you stumbled upon in Beware the Witch's Shadow. There is a witch that lives deep in the woods, feeding upon those foolish enough to disturb her machinations. These are her tales as told as the life drains from her victims. I'm sold. But then again, I like horror mythology, so.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool to me.
Same here.
Alrighty. Les, you're next.
Okay, for my first choice, from Mythos Comics, comes Vamp #1. This is kind of interesting. It's a character named Julian Smith who is driving his boss's girl to her next flesh gig. Things get messy when she decides to handle a pack of frat boys, and obviously this just goes from there. This is intended for mature audiences, so kind of keep that in mind, but I've got a feeling that this is going to be a winner just in the respect of the subject matter. And I'm kind of looking forward to it myself.
Sounds like it's got some fun possibilities.
Oh, definitely. Alrighty. Liz, you're up again.
Okay, for my second pick, I'm going with Ligers and Llamas and Tots. Oh my! It's Napoleon Dynamite. This looks like it's going to pick up right where the movie left off. Napoleon is in his senior year. He's still dating Deb. And now the student body is getting together and saying that Pedro cheated to get elected president. So, of course, we all know, because we watched the movie, that it was Napoleon's sweet dance that got him elected. So this should be pretty interesting. We'll see where it goes. So they can't impeach Pedro. We just got him voted in.
Oh, but we could try.
Well, it looks like they're going to.
Never say never.
I mean, gosh. I think this was another one of those movies that totally found its footing after. It didn't make it too good at the box office, but it's kind of one of those that's, I don't know how to describe it. It's, with funny moments in between.
That's pretty good description right there.
Pretty good.
I'd say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, this one should be a pretty sweet book.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okay, I don't know if I can follow that up, but what the hell. My second pick is from Zenescope, and this is the Grimm Universe Presents Fall 2019 issue. These are fun because, I mean, again, it's an anthology thing, except we get 5 brand new short stories from several of our favorite Grimm Universe heroes, and these kinds of things are a great introduction. If you're kind of not sure who some of these characters are, this is a great way to get a look at them and kind of get a sense of what they're about, what they do, how they work, the flavor of the whole thing. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'm up next, and for my second choice, I'm going with a new collection, well, not necessarily new, from DC Comics. It's part of their Absolute program, and this is Absolute Batman, Arkham Asylum, 30th Anniversary Edition. This was a graphic novel that was written by Grant Morrison and art by Dave McKean, and this is actually my introduction to Dave McKean's wonderful artwork. And the story is about the inmates taking over Arkham Asylum, and in exchange for releasing the staff, Batman had to stay with them. And it's just the art and this was just incredible. I remember picking this up not too long after the Michael Keaton movie came out, the first one, obviously, and was mesmerized by the art. The story is really good because it gives you a little history of, I believe it's Amadeus Arkham. I may be mistaken on the first name, but basically the founder of the asylum. And just some of the stories that are told about the different villains and all that. And Joker looks incredible. Looks like just totally insane. The handling of Batman, I can keep on going. It's just so beautiful. It was a great graphic novel, and I'm glad to see it getting a new edition to celebrate its 30th anniversary.
Sweet.
Yep.
It's hard to imagine it's been that long.
Yeah, I agree. Les.
My second choice comes from Toon Books. This is the graphic novel, The Secret of the Stone Frog, in which two children awaken and find themselves in an enchanted forest, but they don't have anyone there to lead them, so they have to do a survival on their own. In this, you'll find pet bees, giant rabbits, lions, and the stone frog. This is kind of a moral tale, and from this, the children learn to overcome danger, and they establish their own independence. The artwork and the writing is by David Nitra, and just the cover alone of this is phenomenal. This is kind of reminiscent to me of Gray Morrow. So
Cool.
I'm in on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
Sure.
If the art is very Gray Morrowish, it's gonna be pretty impressive. Loved his work. Alrighty, and our honorable mention this week, I have. It's from IDW. It's a graphic novel called Little Jackie Lantern. And this is a story about a boy named Jackie who is afraid of Halloween. Afraid of scary creatures and ghosts and all of this. And it's quickly coming to Halloween, and he's trying to decide whether he should summon up the courage and go trick-or-treating with his friends or stay home being afraid. It looks cute. It's written by Tom Waltz with art by Jessica Hickman. And man, it looks very cute. And I do like the premise, and what a way to kind of get you into the Halloween spirit, especially for the kiddies. So definitely go pick that book up.
Yeah.
So we're getting that time of year where we're going to get a lot more of the horror, scary, Halloween-themed books, and that's always a good thing.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite time of year.
Awesome. So any special shout-outs this week?
I have one. Friday, August 30th, Gordon Bresek passed away. You may not know the name, but you definitely know his work. He's done a lot of work on Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, The Real Ghostbusters, The Smurfs, The Snorks, Mighty Max. I mean, the list goes on. Definitely a great loss. He's definitely entertained my childhood for me. So our thoughts definitely go out to the family. What a horrible loss to the animation world, you know.
Yep.
He said most of the good cartoons from, I would say, late 80s or all the way through the 90s. If you liked them, he's probably worked on them. So.
Yep. Any other special shout-outs?
Nope.
All right, we'll go ahead into our regular shout-outs then. First off, thanks to Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of such a great group of podcasts. Definitely check out some of our fellow networkies. I guess I don't know what the word you would call it. We'll have a link in the show notes. They've been a big supporter of us, and it's very much appreciated. As well as our fellow podcasters on Twitter, known affectionately as Potter and Family. Thank you guys for sharing our links by retweeting. Definitely go check them out, and the easiest way to do that is to go to Twitter and do a search, #PotterandFamily. Just scroll through, whatever catches your fancy, click on that link, download that episode, and have some fun. Thank you guys for your support as always. I also want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. We'll have a link to their music. Definitely would encourage you to check them out. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for your downloading and listening to today's episode. We do appreciate your support. We would love to hear back from you. Whatever feedback you would have. Comments, questions, complaints, observations, whatever. We would love to hear from you. And there's several ways you can contact us. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website and click on the About Us tab, and there's a contact form that you can fill out. Or you can contact us through social media, which, by all means, follow us as well, if you're not already. On Facebook, we are The Fellowship of the Geeks, and on Twitter, we are @FellowshipGeeks. And if you'd like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, by all means, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And wherever you download our episodes, if you would take a couple of moments to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening once again, my friends. We always appreciate your support. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @FellowshipGeeks. Until next time,